I've always been a unique person, you know what I mean? Sort of laid back in a way, but very adamant and very passionate about what I believe. I think a lot of times that sort of throws people off because they don't expect me to have the mindset or the process of thought that I do. And so when you come in to watch my channel, you may hear a myriad of thoughts and ideas that could be different from others. What I want you to do is just sit back, like, share, and subscribe. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah, yeah. Everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Lockhart perspective.
Hello, and good evening to everybody. I'm excited. I feel a lot better than I did yesterday, and just decided to pick myself up and just say, hey, you know what? Life happens. How about that? Tonight, we are talking about the diminishing family. We're talking about exactly how we got where we are, and we're going to deal with how what we know about our current situation can help shape the future for the few of us who are willing to take the chance to make it right. Black Spring with Autumn, hello, how are you? How are you? How are you, madam? You know, let me tell you something. When we think about the diminishing family, we are obviously thinking about how things have changed over the past several years. And when we think about that, we really do have to look at everything as a whole, society as a whole. How did we get here? We're going to talk about that tonight. I just want to say hey again to you, Sister Black Spring with Autumn. It's so good to see you. You know, I met with a young gentleman earlier this evening, Black Spring, and he was sharing with my daughter and myself a story about his situation. Steve Willis, how are you, kind sir? He was sharing with us a story. Steve, we were talking to a young guy. He couldn't be that much older than my daughter. My daughter's in her late 20s, early 30s. And this guy was around the same age. So we were sitting there and we were just talking, and he was saying, you know, all the things that he experienced prior to his suffering a terrible divorce. And I just want to say, you know, a lot of people, I don't think a lot of folks understand how we arrived here as a whole. And it's amazing because each and every person, every one of us, every single one of us have a way that has led us to this. And let me explain that. Let me explain it. When we think about the fact that mom and dad, for the most part, were a couple, were a unit, they raised us and they took good care of us. And we grew up to love that and stand that. I think a lot of women, when they were coming up, they were like, gosh, I just want to grow up and I want to have a, wonderful husband like my mama did, you know, because we girls, we love our dads, right? There's just nothing anybody could say about dad. We love our dads, right? I think a lot of women, I think what gets us enamored of the whole idea of the wedding story. There is a reason why we just get in love with the idea of being chosen by someone, of being loved forever by someone. It's because of what it truly means to be loved. It is because of what it truly means to love. The diminishing family started a long time ago. It's obviously been an attack of the enemy for so many, many, many centuries. But what we're dealing with right now is the diminishing of the family, the people of our Father. We could go many directions, right? There's many different directions that we could go in. We really could. Here's the deal. We're not going to be able to do this unless we do it honestly. Can we be honest tonight? I hope everybody is okay with honesty. You know, we're in a day and an age where honesty just makes people upset. They can't handle it. You told me the truth and I don't like it. And I just don't appreciate it. And I understand that what you said was true. But I'm going to tell you right now, you offended me. So what offended you more, brother, sister? What offended you more? Did the truth offend you? Or the fact that I had the audacity to share my feelings and let you know how what you did to me affected me? What is the real problem? So let's go. This gentleman said that he fell in love with a young lady and he was more committed to her because, well, like a lot of people, they met in a pub. And after meeting in the pub, she and he engaged in the thing that adults do. And after they did that, he hung with her a little bit longer because he felt like, well, you know what? I wasn't just going to kick her to the curb. She was a good lady. You know, we laughed, we chuckled, we had a good time with each other. But the problem is that once the baby came, there was a problem. Once the child arrived, I began to see that this possibly was the biggest mistake that I could have ever made. And herein lies the issue with that. He was attempting to turn this woman that he met in a pub into a housewife. I'm backing up because I'm getting an ink pen. He was attempting to turn this woman that he met in a pub into a housewife. You can't do that. You can't do it. I don't care what anybody says, you can't do it. Unless, of course, you guys just ended up there by some accident. Maybe both of you guys, having a godly mindset, ended up going with some friends, much to your chagrin, but that was the place that you guys were supposed to meet each other, right? That's where you all were supposed to meet each other. Well, unfortunately, this guy was raised, well, unfortunately for the young lady, this guy was totally raised with a totally different family structure, a totally different mindset than this poor young lady did. And right now, today, they are not together, but they have a beginning and an end. But the middle piece is where I think a lot of people make the mistake right now today. Let's talk about the diminishing of, let's see, we'll start with the Black family first. Obviously, we're going to go there first. And then I'm going to show you the assault and the attack that's been promulgated against our white brothers and sisters. Because guess what? Guess what, you guys? You probably didn't know this. None of us are free from the attack. None of us. What I'm going to do tonight is just connect a few dots so that we can come together and understand how we all got where we are. Then we're going to work on how we can get it over with, how we can get free of this garbage. Because see, the deal is that what goes on in the world, it happens in the body. And the body then begins to pretend as if it's a part of the world. And that's what happens as a problem. I hope you guys are okay with this topic. I know a lot of people are like, oh God, this is going to be boring. I don't want to hear this. I think I already know. Or maybe people would leave because they fear that there's going to be a point of accountability and we'll have to clean up our act. Yeah, I think that's what's going on. I think a lot of people feel like, gee whiz, whenever anybody talks about this, I just feel so convicted and I just want to storm away, pick up all my marbles and leave because I believe that I'm going to be accountable for what I'm about to hear. And yeah, you are. Starting with the Black family, long ago, what replaced the husband? And this is the point. The husband is an important and integral part to the family. I don't care what any women say. I don't care what society tells you. I don't care what anybody else leads you to believe. Women, stop that foolishness that you don't need a man. I've said that before. You have no idea how ignorant we sound when we say this stuff. The diminishment or the diminishing of the family, like a drove of locusts on a field of wheat starts in the mind when the woman believes that she doesn't need him. So in the black family, it began when they replaced daddy and pawpaw with the welfare man. That's right. I've said it over and over again. When the welfare man came, the father had to flee. I shared with Black Spring on a couple of occasions that as soon as the black man had a foothold in the family, then here come the welfare man. When he got a foothold in the family, what did he make that black girl do? He made her make sure that there was no man in the family. I told you guys about that show a long time ago, Claudine, where she had to go and hide everything from the blender that the gentleman that she was dating, I think it was James Earl Jones. She was dating James Earl Jones. And James Earl Jones was a hardworking man. He was a good man in this movie. And Claudine was a pretty nice lady. She was a nurse by trade and she was a single mother. So therefore, she worked outside the home. She had several children, albeit a few of them were from different dads. She tried her best to keep them all together. Claudine's biggest fear was that her daughter would come out pregnant. And if she came out pregnant, then she would bring, oh my goodness, another mouth to feed into the home. And so she she was angry. She didn't want that daughter to end up pregnant. You guys know the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But the welfare man replaced the black man in the family of black folks. And what ended up happening after that was the daycare rolled out, because now we're going to help you get a job so that you can get off that welfare, lady. We're going to help you get a job. Now you got independence, and now your children are going to be raised by other people for the preponderance of the day. Now that your children are going to be raised by other people, we can make sure that you're not able to teach them anything that you thought you knew about God, anything you thought you knew about morals, anything you thought you knew about living right. We can make sure that wherever you put them, they're not going to get your values. So therefore, we got your kids. Get the strong man out. Get him out. So now today, you have more black women who are educated. Kudos. Good, sister. Good. I'm glad. Not against you. I've got degrees as well. I'm not upset. I ain't mad at you. Here's the deal. You've got all that. You've arrived. You feel as if you don't need a man. But what happens when you're 57, 58, 60 years old and you're still running around touting that garbage? You're lonely, aren't you? House is big. The man is gone. The children that you had are raised and gone. You decided to have your independence early while your children were in middle school or in elementary school. The times that they really did need their mama, you decided that you were going to go and find yourself. The welfare system had already taught you, mama, that you don't need that man. And so therefore you stood up for yourself and you were a strong black woman that didn't need a man. And now you ain't got one. And so you continue to perpetrate the fraud during the daylight. And at nighttime, you do cry yourself to sleep, but you're never going to admit that to your other single friends. Why? Because you're not a quitter. You're not going to bow out. You're going to continue to tell this lie to the daughters that you have. Herein lies the problem for the black community right now. Mama, we hold on to our sons too long. We pump our daughters up with a bunch of lies that somebody else who didn't have no man, who was lonely and died that way. We pump our daughters up with the same exact lie. I know y'all may not like this, and I love y'all. If you leave, please come back and check me out another night. I love y'all now. Come on now. But that's exactly what happens. You promulgate that garbage to the next generation. And unfortunately, now she's the same way you were. And all those aunties, got every auntie in the world, aunties. It's so bad right now that every commercial you turn on right now, every channel you watch, has got black girl magic as what they want you to believe. And the family is gone. The selfishness of black girl magic. The selfishness of, I'm a black independent woman and I don't need no man. The selfishness, the I-ism and all of that has now left our boys and our girls in disarray. Quite confused. Now let's juxtapose your story, sister friend, with that of our counterpart, our white sister. That poor lady. I feel bad for her, but I even feel worse for the man because right now, as to where they went after us in the other scenario, right now they are diminishing the white man. They are taking away everything. They're making him, even the seemingly nice guy, they've turned him into the bad guy. So don't get mad, y'all. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Listen, listen. I'm laying down some truth. If you just listen to what I'm saying, you will see Satan in everything from here forward. I'm telling you how we got here. I'm telling you how we got here. So this young guy, he did everything that he could for this young lady. He did everything he could for the child. The girl was going out to bars where he met her. He met her in a bar, so she continued in bars. And his family had already taught him how to be a husband. Unfortunately for him, they did not tell him how to go out and get the right woman. The mama was a nice woman, raised him in church as much as she could. But for whatever reason, he made the mistake of being intimate with this lady. And when he did that, he, because of his background and his upbringing, attached himself to her because, well, she got pregnant and he wanted to be there. Very nice young guy. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, he's got blue eyes. He's tall. He's very smart, well-versed, hardworking young man. And maybe wish I could find somebody for this guy. That's how nice this kid was. I'm just like, oh my goodness, let me go through my mental Rolodex and see who do I know. But his mama and his daddy taught him how to be a good guy. So when he got this young lady pregnant, he was going to stand by her. He said, I shouldn't have done it, but I did. But my son is the best thing that ever happened to me, ma'am. He said, my son is the best thing that ever happened to me. He said, all I wanted to do was to take care of her and to take care of him. I went out and bought a couple of pieces of property. He said, I didn't want my wife to work, but she decided that she wanted to. She wasn't raised like I was. He said, she was tossed from one home to the next. As a child, she didn't have mama and daddy like I did. She was a ward of the state, ma'am. And I don't understand what I could have done to change it. Let me tell you something. For those of you who are listening, who might be at the same door that this fellow was, you don't need to move anything further past the mistake that you already made, my friend. Don't make it worse. Take care of the seed that you got. Treat her with utter respect. But don't you make the mistake of marrying somebody that you're not in love with. I understand somebody may be upset with me, and on their channel, I will definitely tune in and listen. But I'm being real. The biggest mistake that fella could have ever made was to add insult to injury. Because what she ended up doing was not being able to be tamed. The baby needed help herself. She needed help herself. She was dealing with every drug you could imagine. She would do just like Gomer. She would be home sometimes, and then she'd run off. In the middle of the night, he couldn't find his wife. In the middle of the night, this guy did not know where she was. In the middle of the night, in the middle of the morning, he had to get to work. And when that happened, he had to go and call on family members and relatives to help him get his son on the bus. Why? Because mama wasn't home. So what happened with the family that I'm describing? What is the problem that society is doing to them right now? Well, society has vilified that cat. Society has vilified that cat. Yeah. This poor white young gentleman says, ma'am, I don't even know what I can say anymore. He says, all I wanted my wife to do was to stay home and take care of my son. Let me go out and do all the work. I've got a nice business. I can work hard. But every time I turned around, if it wasn't her or one of her friends talking, she listened to everybody but me. I wasn't trying to control her. I just wanted to love her. Bless his heart. So now he is the bad white guy. Well, you saw CNN and all these other channels that say, the problem that's going on right now, the biggest guy that's the terrorist right now. Well, that's the white man. White man is the terrorist right now. Yeah, that's what they said. Hey, I'm only repeating what's out there to be heard. I'm only repeating what is out there to be learned by those who are following after this generation. And so here's the deal now. Where are we? Diminishing the family. Okay, let's go back and look at the black family right quick. Let's go back and catch them. Let's catch them, catch them, catch them, catch them. They leaving the theater. Get them. Get them, get them. They leaving the theater. They leaving, they leaving. Now that the woman has her degrees, now that the woman has her home, now that the woman has all that she needs in the black community, she is black girl magic. It's a bunch of garbage. I said it. Guess what? I'm a black girl and I said it. Now that she's where she is, the boys that she has produced with the man that she's kicked to the curb because now the welfare helped her get her education and now she's studied. And if it wasn't the welfare to help her get her education, then maybe it was the county job or the state job or the federal job or something like that that helped her pay for her education. Now she's got her son and she puts him right there in front of the television. She puts him right there. And he watched Magic Johnson for several years. He watched Dwayne Wade for the years that followed. This young kid, right? You know, put him up there. Just let him watch all these black icons. And now they sons. And now they sons. Magic Johnson's son, Dwayne Wade's son. Y'all can fill in the blank. So now her son has nothing but that to watch. He can turn it over here on this channel and he can see somebody being quite effeminate. Then he can turn over here on this channel. Then he can see somebody that's turned. And now they all turned out. But can the mama teach him how to be a man? No, ma'am, you can't. You can't. I don't care what you say. You can teach him which fork, if you know, to eat his salad with. Okay? You can teach him that. You can teach him which, oh, that's a fish knife. That's you use that. But mama, you can't teach that boy how to be no man, but we lie. And you know what we do? We then end up with that mindset, rolling out a brand new set of black guys that are not dateable. They're not marryable, if I can use that as the word. Okay? You can't do anything with them. Why? Because they don't know how to be a man. And then you get some big mouth young girl who is very bossy. You can find her right now. They started preparing her right now. She's the 5th grader who's very bossy to all the little boys in the class. Then you get her in 10 years, 15 years. I just don't understand why he can't be a man. Well, because nobody ever taught him how, baby, because his mama and them raised him. So that's where the black kids are right now. So black boys that thought that the mama thought she was doing a good job putting them in, basketball camp and sending them over here and letting them watch videos of Magic Johnson. Then he does a little study on his own. A little fella does. He gets on the computer and his mind is blown because all of a sudden he sees one big picture. He sees one big picture. He wants to know, my hero is awesome. I love Magic Johnson. This is maybe a few years ago. Let's just say that. I love Magic Johnson. The kid says. Absolutely. Just adore him. I want to be just like him. I wish that Magic Johnson was my son, was my daddy. That's what the son says, was my daddy, because he was a good basketball player. And then all of a sudden, this. Too much for you? Too soon? Is that too soon? Is that too much? That's too much. I shouldn't have done that. Okay. Shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm telling you guys what the reality is because it is the diminishing family. Diminishing the family. Diminishing the family. Diminishing the family. When you remove the strong man, whether the strong man be a black man or the white father, no matter what side it is, the attack is on the family. The attack is on our father. Yes, it is. It's on our father. That's what the attack is. Most assuredly. Look here. Don't get upset. Please don't get upset. I don't want you to get mad. Diminishing the family is where we are right now. That's right. That's right. So you got stories that come out and say, hey, this guy, we're going to give you the description of the guy that's really the bad guy on the other side. Because either way it goes, we're going to show you who the bad guy is. The bad guy on the other side is the guy who loves this. If he loves this, OMG, you know he's a problem. He's a problem. That guy's no good. He's dangerous. Why? Because the news media, the media said it. So this is diminishing the family by promulgating all this stuff. Let's read this. White Americans are the biggest terror threat in the U.S., killing more people in attacks than Muslims or any other group in the last 14 years, according to a study done by New America Foundation. The group looked into 26 attacks on U.S. soil that it defined as terror and found that 19 of those attacks were done by non-Muslim. All studied attacks are after 9/11. Since then, 48 people have been killed by extremists who are not Muslims, compared to 46 people who claimed jihad. This whole piece right here is all American made, by the way. That's another. There's another enemy right there. Don't give us that. Stick with the program. Other attacks like massacres in Aurora, Colorado, Newton, Connecticut were not included, since they did not appear to have been caused by a specific ideology, the standard used by New American Foundation to qualify as the T word. All right? So how do they determine who is and isn't? Well, it's anybody who believes in the Bible. It's a guy, it's this white cat, he believes in the Bible. Yep, that's a telltale sign. Telltale sign. He believes in the Bible? Oh my goodness. That's a telltale sign, this cat. He's got a lot of nerve. He believes, okay, and he loves his country. He loves his country. He believes in the Bible. He believes in the fact that his job is to take care of his family. He wants to lead by example. He's a bad guy. For those of you who are leaving, I love you. But this is the truth, because this is what is being formed. And as long as we listen to this kind of stuff that they're pulling out like this, it's going to harm all of us. Here's my goal. It's to get everybody who says they believe in the one and true living God to see what is happening around us, because the division has to stop. And we have to understand that the attack is on all of us. Yes, it is. Okay? I know it's hard. This is not an easy thing to say, but our families are being diminished. And if we can't encourage each other to see the realities of what's going on around us and take some type of accountability, then what's going to make it different? What's going to make it change? We got to see this, that the attack is and always has been on our Father and the creation that he made, which is us, which is you, which is me. They like to distract us. They like to tell us, oh my goodness, this guy's crazy, that guy's crazy. They painted the Kanye guy as crazy. You remember that? They painted good old Kanye as a nut. First, they tried to make him some type of a messiah. They did. They tried to make him some type of good guy. Pretty difficult when you consider that that's really not that much of a, I don't know. This guy was not really that much of a hero, but they definitely did it. They definitely tried to, but let me tell you one thing I'll say about that cat. He understood the placement. He understood how he was supposed to be. He understood what his position was. Now, let's talk about an example like this. We're going to talk about the example, right? Because if you look up her net worth, it's unbelievable. How could any guy compare to that? What is the necessity? Let me give you ladies a nice little tip. A brother want to be needed every now and then. Sometimes you got to play the damsel every now and then. Don't nobody want nobody that's just like themselves going to bed with them. Too much for you? Was that too heavy? A man wants a lady, not a laddie. As Ronnie Man told us the other day, a man wants a woman, but a woman must first know who she is, what she is supposed to do, what she is not supposed to do. So this tonight may not be the life for you because you may not like what's about to happen. I'm going to lay it out for you. I'm going to share with you what your role is. Now, let's preface all of this before saying what I'm about to say. I'm going to preface it. A lot of situations right now are so out of whack that it will be very difficult to pull back. My goal is to instill in you and to share with you ways that if you're about to jack your own marriage up, ladies, I'm going to try to help you to stay in it. All right? I don't want to know the bad stuff. I don't want to know what's going on. I don't know what he said to you. I don't want to know what you said to him. I don't want to know what he did to you. I don't want to know what you did to him. That's not the goal. The goal is for me to give you a couple of tricks and tips on how to stay put and how to make sure that no matter what chick crosses his path, there's something about you that make him stick there. I want to show you how to make sure that there could be a whole lot of chicks pass his path, but can't none of them beat you in your chair rocking. Why? Because we're talking about diminishing the family, and we don't want that for you. So a lot of times people will say, well, things just didn't go so good. I think we've done good enough about tapping on each side of the family. This cat right here, I feel bad for him. Let me go ahead and put him in the proper perspective. You didn't put him in the proper place. This guy and this person were probably put together on purpose. It was probably an opportunity. Somebody probably decided to put them together and probably made them do what they did. But this guy, his brain, because of his mama, his real mama, she taught him what the importance of marriage and family was. And even though he get a little off the chain now and then, you still hear it come up. The girl, unfortunately, not so lucky. Because her mama made sure that video got out. Her mama made sure that she had all kinds of businesses. Why? Because you are the brand. And it doesn't matter whether you have a man or not. You're the brand. And all we need is you. We really don't care who you're married to. Doesn't matter who's on your arm right now. You can be marrying and unmarrying. It don't matter. None of that stuff matters. It matters that you continue to make sure that your gravy train rolls in so that no matter what cat you decide to bed now, it doesn't matter. He can leave, he can stay. And because you have him in the mindset of being so disposable, you can treat him like crap. Yeah, that's it. So let's go on. Let's get rid of these two. Got to get rid of these two. I don't really even. I mean, yeah, she says so Kim Kardashian just officially filed for divorce from Kanye West. And this is how he reacted, it says. But the truth about it is, old boy was talking about divorcing her. I think the reason why she played the victim for as long as she did is because she wanted the opportune time to say goodbye to him. Because a lot of us, people, humans, don't like nobody to leave us. We just want to wait till it's the right time. It's the end for Kim Kardashian and Kanye West's divorce is official. After the Keeping Up with the Kardashian star filed for divorce, the Yeezy founder on Friday, February 19th, after 7 years of marriage. According to TMZ, Kim is asking for joint and physical legal custody of she and Kanye's 4 children, North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm. My goodness. That sounds like they just took a whole bunch of silverware, dropped it on the floor, or whatever the sounds came out. That was what they was going to name them children. Sources told the site that Kanye is fine with the custody agreement. And the couple are committed to co-parenting. Co-parenting. You know, they make up these nice words. Basically, y'all destroying the kids. Because whether people know it or not, children that are from divorced families, by and large, for the most part, I'm not talking about that one person who's going to type in the replay and say, well, we was fine. Okay, that's you, boo boo. We talking about the other kids. We talking about the majority of the children that are not fine. Because this nice word, co-parenting, they're committed to co-parenting. Y'all was co-parenting while y'all was married, dingbats. Anyway, I digress. TMZ also reported that Kim and Kanye have a prenup and neither party is contesting the document. According to the site sources, Kanye and Kim are already far along in the divorce process. and are close to a property settlement agreement. News of Kanye and Kim's divorce comes after U.S. Weekly reported in July 2020 that Kim had met a divorce lawyer. But you see here, look at all that. You see there's nothing left? Does anybody remember when he said he was done? That was just the rantings of a madman, right? So nobody focuses on that. But now that the lady says that it's over, it's over. Okay? All right, so let's get down to it. So wives, especially young wives, I really don't want to talk to, let me just say it like this. If you're an older woman who just got married and you don't know how to get through some of the things that you're going to go through, let me just let you know right now. This is for women who are a little older, but I just really want to hone in on the young women, because this guy, sweet as he was married to a young woman, and he tried to do his best. He tried to do his best until she didn't come home, and then she started hanging out in bars. Then she started cheating. Well, she was probably cheating when she didn't come home. But then she was using major drugs as a way to sort of escape. Okay. She was doing all of that stuff, right? So this guy's sitting there, big, nice house. He's got the baby, little boy, about 8 or 9. And his heart is totally broken. You know how you can tell his heart was broken? Because he started just chattering and sharing with a stranger. He just started chattering and sharing. His heart is broke. Why? Because he was taught how to stay married, and that he believed that every single thing that he was going through was not so. It should not be. It just should not be. Okay? So now, women, want to tell you something. He's not a girl. You got a pen? Y'all got a pen and a pad? You got a pen and a pad. The brother is not a sister. The brother is not a chick. No, he's not. The brother is not a female. So please stop trying to make him into one. He's not going to be like you. He's not going to be sensitive. He's not going to be emotional. He's not going to be one day up, one day down. He's not going to know. He's not going to go to the store and think in his mind that he wants a pink dress or a black dress, and then take 15, go one weekend, shop for that same dress, another weekend and shop for that same dress until he sees it. He says, I know it when I see it. No, that's not him. That's us. The dude is not us. Stop it. When you want him to get in touch with his feminine side, remember that is a ploy from Satan. A brother ain't supposed to be sensitive. A brother not supposed to think and act like you. As a matter of fact, opposites attract. I know you've heard that before, but if you continue to try to push him into the peg that you were created for, it's going to be a problem. Any human being, yes, could wash a load of clothes, but what brother wants to get up and go to work every single morning and have to do that when you're at the house before you go to work? I believe that if a woman decides that it's time for her to go to work, no problem. If you guys feel like together, you guys have to work and you're going to make those ends meet, you're going to help him, that you need to make sure, ma'am, that your house is right before you go. Did she say that? How antiquated she is. That's what I said. Let that sink in just a bit, then I'll qualify it for you. Because I know you might get upset. Those in the replay especially, you might get upset. If you guys decide that you all are going to have the wife go outside the house, then ma'am, please make sure that your house is together. I think I lost 2 people already. 2 folks just decided to click off. Ooh, boy. She got cobwebs up in her ceiling. Her baseboards have not been cleaned in a while. She doesn't like this kind of teaching, and that's okay. They both left. We went from 18 to 16. It's going to be all right. Because I'm going to restore you guys in a second. I'm going to give you how we should live our lives. I'm going to give you how. Why? Because the theft and the diminishing of the family started when somebody was not on their post, saints. That's when it started. When somebody else started to do somebody else's job. If you can imagine being on a job, and if you can imagine being given an assignment, and then somebody else coming after you picks up your assignment, and they're from a different department. They really don't know your job, but they pick up your assignment, and now they're doing your assignment and they're jacking it up. Where does that leave you? Every single one of us have a place, and every single one of us have somewhere that we're supposed to be. It only becomes a problem when we decide to put our foot on the other conveyor belt and decide that we're going to run the nuts and bolts over here with the leather and rivets. If you're supposed to be on nuts and bolts, you're not supposed to be on leather and rivets. Get back over there on the leather, get back over there on the zigzag rivets, get back over there on that side. Oh, lost another one. We down to 15. Yeah. Get back where the Father told you to be. A lot of people are looking for God to continuously talk to us when we have not done the first thing he told us to do. And that's a problem. That's a problem. He's not going to come and say something else to you. He's already given it to us. It may not be an easy thing to say, but we're looking at our children right now being assaulted by television because there's nobody there with them. We are looking at our children pull up different things on the internet, and there's nobody there to share with them what's right and wrong. Because that same exact person who needs to get up now and go to work now that you've shooed your husband away, and in the husband's wife, you shooed your wife away in his case. Now that you've shooed that person away, you don't have any help at all. So now you're going to have to succumb to whatever the employer's rules are. And that is what you've indoctrinated yourself with in your mind, because you really can't hold several different thought processes together at once. And the body of believers right now has gotten themselves indoctrinated into a way of life that is so opposite of our Father in heaven that it takes a conversation like this, much to my chagrin, to jolt you back into reality. Somebody will say, well, it's difficult not to work. I agree, and I understand that. But when you sit down and take a sheet of paper, sister, and you divide that sheet of paper, you write down what your necessities are, what the bills are, what everything else is. I beg you, I want to ask you, if it means staying with your husband and staying in peace and staying where your children are, they're going to thrive the best. Would you please take that sheet of paper and then look and see how much it would cost for you to leave the house and how much your family would stand to gain? Ma'am, will you please take that same sheet of paper and tell me how much you'd stand to lose? Look, sis, I don't have a dog in the hunt with trying to attack you. That's not my goal. My goal is to give you some critical thinking. My goal is to give you some tools. So here's a tool. Be submissive to God, our Father in heaven. Try it his way. Don't throw away your good marriage and your good family because you have an aunt or somebody who's disgruntled and who's trying to teach you that your husband should act like X, Y, or Z. Every time I see him, that relative says, he's never smiling. Perhaps it's because every time he sees you, you're in his house, in his refrigerator, talking to his wife, telling her how you all's family should be. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's not him. Maybe it's the fact that somebody hasn't set any boundaries. Okay, take a pen out real quick. Married women, you're not supposed to have no single friends. Just take the notes down. You guys don't have to ask questions later, but married women, drop the single friends. Married women, leave all of the single auntie nim alone. Leave them alone. Let them be. Okay? Let them be. Single women are not supposed to hang out with married women unless it's like a sister or something. And if your sister got a problem with your husband, you need to cut her off. I'm telling you guys what the main problem is. It's because we're getting a lot of interference from outside the household. And that interference is messing with the ecosystem of your home. It is. It's messing with the balance of the household. Okay? So if you got any single friends, young wives, get rid of them. Treat them with respect, but have them go in another direction. Why? Because you guys really don't have anything else in common anymore. Single women, and married women are two totally different things, and their lifestyles and their needs and their everything that goes on in their lives, and the accountability, they're two different mindsets. Okay? So let your single friends go. Mama, how are you going to have girls' day and girls' night? Who does that? A godly woman does not do the whole girls' night and the whole godly women don't do that. Now, if you and your husband decide that works for you guys go head on, do you, boo boo. But I'm trying to show women how to prevent themselves from having outside influences wreak havoc on their home. Because if you do not understand your place in the marriage and in the household, then you're going to have some issues. And the enemy that they're creating, you're going to buy into. Okay? You're going to buy into, he's the enemy. He tells me how to live. He's a terrorist. He's awful. He wants me to just be his slave. He wants me to do this and that. Really, the person that you're talking to, are they going to help you with any of this? Think about it. The person you're complaining to, are they going to be able to pick up the slack? Listen, I'm not talking about somebody who says, well, he's an awful husband. Trust me, sweetie. I understand what awful is. But what I'm trying to tell the young women is, do not throw away your good thing listening to somebody who don't have no thing. Because the majority of your friends that are single like that have nobody. They're miserable. They have nobody. They want you to be just as miserable as they are. So you need to keep your friends at bay. You need to lift your husband, and you need to put yourself on a schedule. Did she say schedule? Yep. Just like when you're at work. Most of the time, you're going to go to work at 8 o'clock. And then when you get off, you're going to take your first break roughly around 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then after that, you're going to take you're going to take your lunch at 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then shortly after that, you know what you're going to, you got a meeting on this time. Start yourselves a calendars. Get a calendar, ladies. Get a calendar. I used to plan my dinner out for a friggin' month, because I only had a $60 budget. And that was many moons ago. My budget every week was $60. So I had to start with my groceries by adding on to the staples that I already had, because we had 4 kids. So you need to get yourself a calendar. You need to put yourself on a schedule. You need to run your home as if it is a business. See, there's the part that people don't want to do. We don't want to do this like that. We don't, but it's diminishing the family when we do not, right? When we don't put ourselves in the place that we're supposed to be, we end up diminishing the family. Now, I'm sure there's a great male out there that'll talk to you guys about the male's point of view and what he needs to do. Unfortunately, having never been a man, I won't be able to share that with you because, well, that's for a man. Maybe we can have Ronnie. Maybe we can have Steve. Maybe we can have anybody else tell you that. But I'm letting you ladies know that it is our responsibility to keep our households together. I know you don't like it. It's okay. All right. Get yourself a schedule. Make sure that you write down some things that you guys like to eat. What I like to do is I would always take, foods and stretch them. Write down that, because that's how you're going to save money. The problem is that when we step outside the house, we end up spending more money than we did while we were in the home. So when people really put it all down on pieces of paper and they really look at their family bills and everything, it really does not do for us to leave the house. A husband gonna stay at the house. I heard people say that. He can stay at home while I get up and go to work. Who wants that? Do you know that our bodies were not created for that? Our bodies were not created for that. It can do it when it's time to be the helpmeet. But it definitely can. Our bodies definitely were not made for that. Our bodies were not made to stay in that vein. We can kick into overdrive just because God did create us to be the helpmeet, but we were not created to drive this thing. And so I'm trying to share with moms how to stay inside that house with those children and how to be a helpmeet, because we have diminishing families in the body right now. Because we're not talking just about people in the world. I'm sure they can handle their things, and they really have, because they're all about the black girl magic. They're all about the woman power. They're all about all that stuff. It may seem as if it's difficult. But here's the funny part. If you're on a job and your boss tells you he needs your schedule in advance, trust me, you'll do it. Why? I did it. That wasn't my husband. But every single week, my boss needed my schedule. He needed to know what location I was going to be in. He needed to know who I was going to be talking to. He needed to know exactly what the store volume that I was going to on that day was and what was my goal in that store. He did. And if I didn't do it, then we'd have a problem. Why? Because he required it. So if you think that it's difficult for you to keep your home on a schedule, then therein lies the problem, because you're more willing to do it for your job and your boss than you are for your family. This may not be something that people like to hear, but that's the issue. Our homes are it's a business. And how it's run is based solely on who's running it. Moms, 18 years passes really quickly. You can look at your baby, that sweet, lovable bundle right now. And in 18 years, the time will fly by. How you deal with it and how you take care of your baby and your household and your husband and everyone that you're responsible to take care of means everything, because when that 18 years is over, then it's time for you and your husband to enjoy one another. It's time for you to then, if you guys decide you want to, have a business and he has a business that you can chime into, or even now, if he has a business, instead of him paying for a secretary, you can take a couple of things and do it at the house. I'm trying to tell you guys what's real. And I know a lot of times that people may not like to hear this stuff, but we got diminishing families in the body of believers. We have weeds right now in the body of believers. So as a woman, all I can do is talk to you, sis. All I can do is tell you that when they told us that we didn't need a man and they replaced our men with the welfare system, that now what they've given us is all of these great guys that we think are our children's role models. And those role models have sold us out, because you know what they're doing now? That's the son of one of the role models. They don't need to do anything now to attack you, because this is what they're letting them think is okay. Again, too soon. Too soon. That was one of the role models, though. The role model raised that. You need to get yourself someplace and have a seat. Have several seats, sis. Do not leave your spouse seeking for the things that the world has promised you, because the family is being diminished. And if I can encourage anybody to stay with their family, to stay with their spouse, to get someplace and pray, to get someplace and seek counseling from a wise elder, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to recommend that you get someplace and you get counsel from a wise woman, not a nutbag, from a wise person that can help you understand that, yes, putting a schedule together for your home, just like you do when you're at the job, is a necessity. You need to know that when your husband gets up, you need to be up 45 minutes before him. Why? Because this is a job, thankless job. But who can find a virtuous woman? Her price is far above rubies. Everybody want to shout that scripture. Everybody want to pass that card out for Mother's Day every single year. You get everybody passing that card out. Yes, you do. But who can find a virtuous woman? What is a virtuous woman? What is she? Who can find a virtuous woman? Her price is far above rubies. Her husband, his heart, it truly does rest safely with her. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband, because of her good countenance, her husband is known at the gates. Who can find a virtuous woman? He who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. He findeth a treasure. Are you a treasure or are you a burden? Sis, we're talking about diminishing the family. How do we get here? We got here because we were not in alignment, and then we allowed the world's description of our husbands and our men in our lives to be what we believed and to be what we accepted and to be what we received. When the welfare people said, we'll give you food stamps, we'll give you medical, and we will give you a cash stipend. Just make sure he's not there when we come. We took it. We did it. That's what our culture did. Now, it may be a lot of other cultures, certainly, but most assuredly, this is what we did. Okay. And now we have a big mess in our community. Our community does not need more free anything. I don't need any free daycare. We don't need those things. What we need is to go back to where we were many years ago with moms and women and people learning the importance of a role. Now, it's so funny to me, and I say this all the time, but it's hilarious to me how this kind of conversation is okay when we're talking to a football team and we're making sure that each person knows their position, right? It's okay for a wide receiver to know his position. It's okay for the defensive tackle to know his position. It's all right. We can talk about that all the time. They do on what's that, ESPN. Excuse me. They talk about that all the time. Well, this guy's position, and he does this, and this is the quarterback, and this is what he does. Have you ever noticed how a quarterback seems to always look the same? They always seem to be the most handsome kid on the team, right? The most handsome young man on the team, right? But we know what his position is. We know what his responsibilities are. And we don't have a problem understanding that this guy is the quarterback. This is what he does. We don't have a problem understanding that when you look at the football team, that the one guy who comes out, the kicker, he doesn't play the whole entire game, but he's just as vital as every other person on the team. But he only comes out at specific times. And the only thing that cat does is kick the ball. That's it. That's his gig. That's what he does. That's it. That's all. We're not mad at him. We're not angry. That's what this cat does. He kicks the ball. But we always seem to get upset when somebody says, women, love your husbands. Husband loves your wives. Husband, love your wife. Listen, both of you guys submit one to another, but I'm a woman, so I'm talking to sisters so that we don't have to deal with this stuff anymore, because it's diminishing the family. That is the problem. You have more women out here right now believing that being promiscuous is okay because it's about your freedom to do what you want to do with your body. But yet and still, the very same group of individuals that tell you that it's fine to do that with your body will toss you in jail if you don't rock a mask. How asinine is that? How asinine is that? All I'm doing is saying, hey, we've got diminishing husbands, wives, families being torn apart, children having really bad issues psychologically. These babies they are suffering so right now because everybody who's supposed to be taking care of them is out of order. Because of selfishness, because of vanity, because of look at me, because of I-isms. This is the generation of me and I. I don't want to stay at home with the children because me, I have to find myself, me, mine, me, mine. I don't want to lose myself, me, I, me, everything. And those poor children, those poor kids. And so if I can't say it and nobody says it, then do we continue? What are we concerned about and what are we fighting for if we cannot go back to the basics and understand that we're out of order, saints? We're out of order. That poor fella looks so broken. He's doing the best that he can. He gave her every stitch of furniture. And because, bless her heart, she's out there listening and dealing with all different random gentlemen. I'm using gentlemen very nicely. The son stays mostly with him than he does with her. And this poor cat gets up at 5 o'clock without fail and goes to work. So if his sister Nim or somebody can't help with the son on one particular day, what happens to the baby? These are the realities of me, my, I. Let me find myself. Find yourself. And meanwhile, the body of Christ is equivalent to the world because nobody is telling anybody what's right anymore because people just don't want to hear it. Oh, they love to tell us how we are in the world, but not of it. I'm physically here, but I'm not of it. And yet we go in and we adopt everything they do. And we don't understand why there is more divorce in the church right now than there is anywhere. Hardness of hearts. Oh, he cheats on me. Okay, take a number, sister. Who ain't been cheated on? Take a number. I said that. Get it together. Hello. Let's go ahead and do a little roll call. An hour into this, we're going to start and go back up here. Thin blue line, boys turn effeminate. Yep. Will Smith's son, creepy. Fathers teach sons to be a man. Thin blue line. I feel we have a responsibility to not follow the trap. Very good. This and more was laid out in the protocols of the learned elders. Sandy, yes. Yikes. Facts. The Johnson family. Huh. Evil. Yep. Diminishing the family. It's all going according to plan. And that's the reason why we're talking about it. Yep, that's his son, most assuredly. Yep. Absolutely right. Diminishing the family has been going on for decades. That's right. Especially in the Black community. And that's why I went back in the 60s, Steve. 60s, 50s. So LBJ, is that who it was that started out the whole food stamp thing, the whole welfare thing? And it was created for one thing. And then after that, it ended up being something else. The welfare state of LBJ, I believe is what it was, right? Yep. Black America before LBJ, how the welfare state inadvertently helped ruin Black communities. So let me take you to this. Let me go ahead on and share this with you. Let's go ahead on. Let's take a glance. Let's have a gander, shall we? This is still Black History Month, is it? Ugh. So Black America before LBJ, how the welfare state inadvertently helped to ruin Black communities. We waged war on poverty and won. That's from President Ronald Reagan in 1988. State of the Union address. The dust has settled and the evidence is in, quote, we're going to go with the 1960s Great Society and War on Poverty programs of President Lyndon B. Johnson. They have all had a colossal and giant failure. They've all been a colossal and giant failure by design. That's what I'm adding that piece, by design. One might make the argument that social welfare programs are the moral path for modern government. They cannot, however, make the argument that these are in any way effective at alleviating poverty. In fact, there is evidence that such aggressive programs might make generational poverty worse, while the notion of a culture of dependence It's exactly what it causes. Well, they're saying that it's a bit cliche in the conservative circles. There is evidence that this is indeed the case, that consciously or not, the welfare state creates a culture where people receive benefits rather than seeking gainful employment or business ownership. Here is the problem. When you understand that employment is just a piece of it, even to take the employment part out and say, okay, what are you good at? Oh, okay, you can fix cars well, let's go ahead and put you over here and you can take some classes to learn how to do, mechanic. They've taken that opportunity out. So the whole entrepreneurship from the old days is gone. Because in school, if you were more on the technical side, that was okay. Because at that particular time, we needed people who had technical skills, and you went to a technical classes. Your classes were more geared towards, understanding mathematics and understanding how to build an engine and all of those things. We had courses that led you into that direction of where you were good, what fared best. But we don't need anybody to have their own businesses now, so we're just going to teach you how to be an employee. And that's nothing but a slave. And we obviously see what happened last year for most of us when we didn't have a job anymore. Why? Well, because unless you had your own business on the side, you were going to plummet, and you're going to plummet fast. So it goes on to say that this is not a moral or even a value judgment against the people engaged in such a culture. Again, the claim is not that the people chose to be on welfare, but the simple social welfare programs incentivized poverty, which has an impact on communities that has nothing to do with the individual intent. We are now over 50 years in the development of the Great Society and the war on poverty. It is time to take stock in these programs for an objective and evidence-based perspective. When one does that, it is not only clear that the programs have been a failure, but also that they have disproportionately impacted the Black community and in the United States. Now, the current state of dysfunction in the Black community is astronomically high crime rates, very low rates of home ownership, single motherhood as the norm. And these are not just the natural state of the Black community in the United States, but closely tied to the role of the social welfare programs and what they play on the Black welfare, on the Black people. So that was from, Dr. Thomas Sowell, rest his soul. He just passed away. Sowell just passed away. He was really hard on our community, and he should have been. He should have been. But that is exactly what the problem is. And it was done again by design that says if we can get the man out of the way, now we got the woman being the man. Do you understand that that is what's going on in our community, folks? You got women on both sides, not just Black and white, but especially us. Because every single commercial, there's not one commercial that you can watch that's not putting a yeah, making it sound like a big old choir, like, yeah, girl, you arrived. Go ahead on, stretch your stuff. Now, who's going to be pushing you in the next 20 years? Who's going to be helping you when you don't wear your body down? Even though you sit behind a desk all day long, who's going to help you? Everybody wants to hail it as you, girl, you a strong Black woman, really? I bet you'd be stronger if you went through a little adversity with your marriage to keep it together. Can you do that? Can you agree to that? He did this or he did that. This happened, that happened. You're strong when you know how to practice strengthening your faith muscle. That's when you're strong. When you understand that once we say I do, we take it and we run with it. But the problem is, especially in our community, is that a lot of people aren't saying I do anymore. Almost 100% of certain people's kids ain't married yet. That's not good. That's not good. We have to be able to have these conversations and look at ourselves in the mirror and say, okay, I think I better do better. I think I better do better. Okay? I think I better do better. getting somewhere and making sure that you can take care of yourself and your family, it starts in the home. There's no such thing. This whole village conversation that they came up with is an easier way for you to just get out the house. Girl, you know it take a village. Girl, it take a village. No, it doesn't. It takes a woman and a man that know what they want and that get together the way that they should, that handle themselves accordingly. It takes adults that get married and understand. And it takes families to teach the values that the word of our Father taught us. There is absolutely nothing wrong with sticking with the values of what you say you believe in. If you say that you believe in the Bible, then how about we just teach those values? It's not easy. Trust me, I know. I do know. But I also know that it can be done. With a made up mind, you can do it. Get yourself a schedule. Don't tell anybody that you're doing it. If you write how you feel down in your diary, says, get a schedule. If he's got to be at work at 7, then you need to be up helping your husband. What's so wrong with that? You married him. Don't you like him? Make his stuff smell real good, like Downy and all kinds of good stuff if he's not allergic to it. Take good care of his clothes. Take good care of his clothes. Take good care of him. Give him a pedicure every now and then. Oh my goodness, I can't believe she said that. I ain't gonna be rubbing on his old funky feet. I'm gonna take him and go going over there and let him get a pedicure for real. You gonna spend $30 getting your husband a pedicure when you could just do it yourself? The reward is much greater. Yeah, I said that. Take care of his feet. The reward is much greater. Yeah. Do things that help you build humility in the home. Do not be the person that always has to prove your point and argue. You don't have to share it unless it's with somebody that you know is going to keep whatever you feel between you and them. You don't have to run and share everything. You don't. Ronnie Mann says, Proverbs 12:4, an excellent wife is a crown on her husband's head, but she who brings him shame is like a cancer in his bones. That I love that scripture. I like the other version that says pretty much a woman that embarrasses her husband is like rottenness to his bones, because the marrow is where the life is, because that's the marrow. It's where the blood is. The marrow of the bone. If you got a bone without no marrow, you got a hollow bone, which means you have no life left. You're done. So I like that. Thank you, Ronnie. Ronnie agreed. Faith seeds the day. Got to start each day there at the Creator's house and see through divide and conquers. Plastic memes trying to rip us all down. Exactly. And for the woman who feels like, well, gee whiz, I just don't know what else to do. Miss Unstoppable says, sometimes the husband die before the wife. Yikes, that's not right. Yeah, that's true. You know what I'm saying? And then so, okay, a lot of times when people say, well, and I'm not using this, I'm not saying that that's what you meant, but I'm just going to use that as an example to take over this little statement that I'm thinking of in my mind. A lot of times, come on, read Unstoppable. When the husband dies before the wife, people say, well, see now, girl, you should have had your independence. You should have knew how to do X, Y, and Z. No one is telling her, you know what I'm saying, to be, no one is telling her to be dumb as a box of rocks. That's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is, if you trust God, then trust God. If you trust the Most High, trust the Most High. But if you trust in yourself, then trust in yourself, and don't even attach yourself to the things that he's about. Why? Because you cannot be double-minded in your approach. Let me tell you something. It is not always easy to stay in a situation that you feel you don't have control over, because that's inevitably what it is. It is so difficult for people to say, well, he does this and he does that, and I'm just going to stay. People will look at him like they're crazy. What do you mean you're going to stay with him? You should get rid of him. But I didn't take a commitment to you. I didn't make a commitment to you. I made a commitment that I would till death do part us. Live according to the word. I'm talking specifically to people that are saints, that are men and women of God, especially women of God, of the Most High. And I'm dealing specifically with what we said we would do in his presence as it relates to our families. It's not easy. I know that it isn't. It's not easy. But is it a necessity? And is it keeping you in line with the commitment that you made before the Father? Certainly it is. Get yourself in alignment with the will and the word, then live according to that will and according to that word. I'll be honest with you. It's easy to throw a marriage away because of adultery. It is so easy. It's easy. But if you're following the word, this is going to freak a lot of people out. But if you're following the word, and if you believe that you receive what you pray when you ask the Father to help you in your marriage, it takes a stronger sister to deal with that than it does to throw it in the garbage and start all over again with another cat. Because if the truth be told, you in trouble. Every time you decide, I'm going to try it again, I'm going to try it again, I'm going to try it again, sister girl, that stuff that was that stuff that was northbound is now southbound. Everything that was perky and young, now you in competition with not just the people that's your age, but that dude, the dudes that's your age, he not looking at you. He's single too. He want to go out there and look at something young and perky. I know a lot of people say, well, hey, that's all right. I don't need no man. I'll be okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Well, yeah, you do. You're a liar. You know good and well you want somebody to look at you. You know good and well you want somebody to love you. You know you do. Ronnie Man says, Colossians 3:19, husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. I wish you were here so you can tell some of this stuff here, Ronnie Man. Marriage is a team effort which requires hard work, devotion, and selfless acts of understanding. Many couples treat it as an exchange theory with diminishing returns, henceforth 50% divorce. That's right. And the majority of that is all in the church, all in the body. LBJ, probably the most evil president ever. Exactly, Sandy. Mars Fool's Gold. I was just thinking about you. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you. The Great Society was when one person worked and earned enough to support a nuclear family. But you know what? I'm going to tell you something. With the majority of the jobs, well, according to what it is, what it's been most recently, right? Say that a young lady, Mars Fool's Gold, to your point, she has a husband and the husband is, he's able to do what he needs to do, but he eats out every day at work because he goes to lunch and he'll buy food. He has to put gas in the car, obviously, but then, he comes back to the house and then he's tired. So he's got to get up and help the wife because, well, she's been there and for whatever reason, she hasn't done what she's supposed to do. So the house will look all beat down and toe up. Then she decides to get a wild hair up her nose because he's got an attitude at the fact that the house is a mess. And he says, well, gee whiz, baby, you've been here all day. Can't you do anything? Can't you help? Can't you fix it? And I don't even have dinner, honey. Well, why don't you bring something for dinner home? You know I'm here with the newborn, and you know I'm here helping him do his work too. Why don't you bring some food home? So now the poor brother got to go out and get some food, go to somebody else cooking, McDonald's, Burger King, whatever. He brings that food back home, and then they eat that, and she still hasn't cooked anything. She hasn't put anything in a crock pot to prepare for the next day. See, it's preparedness. You'll prepare for that job, though. I know you're going to prepare for that job because if that boss tell you he need to have XYZ on his desk stat, you're going to have it. If your district manager says, hey, we need these documents printed out and sent to us every Thursday, you're going to do that. But you do not want to do the stuff that's going to help your family become strong. You do not want to help the things that prevent your family from being diminished, but you will definitely go clock in on that cat's clock. You will definitely make sure that you don't do anything so that you don't get any write-ups. You will make sure that you do everything you're supposed to do. Sis, this is bass backwards. This is bass backwards. That don't make no sense. That job will let you go tomorrow, step over your body if you drop dead and put somebody else in your place. And you will not do what you need to do for your family. You can't plan a meal. You can't? It's difficult? Why is it difficult? Is it because you listen to other people that say, I don't do all that? Well, that's why you sitting over at the house without no man. Get off my phone calling me. These are the things that we need to do. Why? Because, well, they're diminishing the family. And they're doing it with our help. Because we are taking their thought processes and we're adding it to our families and our households. And that's a problem. Marriage isn't a 50-50 thing. Ronnie Mann says, food for thought. Marriage isn't a 50-50 thing. That's a misconception. He says it's 100 over 100. Yes, all the independent women commercials. Yes, all those commercials. That's all you see. Why? Think about that. They wouldn't want you, they're not going to tell you anything that's going to be really good for you. It's all about taking your children. It's all about getting a complicit group of individuals to do whatever it is that they want them to do. Anthony Van Zant says a welfare state is a trap because it talks about helping folks out, yet traps them in from getting out. That's absolutely right. Our problem started in the garden and governance, yes, and the dollar of dualities and the dollar and dualities, church and state, ghouls. Okay. Ooh wee, straight shooting lady. I just want us to win. You know what I'm saying? I really want us to win. You know what I mean? Hey DJ, I really do. I want us to win. And I don't think that there is anybody that's really giving us a good kick in the keister. We're not getting kicked in the keister anymore. Hello, forgiven and blessed. I will give anything to get to cook. Okay, I would give anything to get to cook for my late husband. Oh, another meal. I miss him so much. Bless your heart, precious. Bless your heart. Bless your heart, dear. I know you would. And that's really what it's all about. It's about realizing that our lives are just but a vapor and that we're only here a short time. I think about my sister-in-law. Now she's gone. And my poor brother, my sweet brother, she just left us what, a couple of days ago? And when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, how long or how much is it going to hurt you in the grand scheme of things to just give a little, right? It's not going to hurt you at all in the grand scheme of things to just comply with the will and the word. Being liberated through submission is one of the most unbelievable things that we can do when we realize that, again, if we use the analogy of the football team, everybody got a spot. What's wrong with playing our part? Nothing, right? So, not going to beat up on you guys anymore, but I do want the women to take a long, hard look and do some adding, do a little bit of adding, figure it all out. By the time you pay daycare, by the time you go on out here and pay lunch and do all this other stuff, it's difficult either way, right? It's difficult whether you got two kids, whether you got two people working, or whether you have one, because who's going to stay home when somebody gets a runny nose? When the daycare says they can't come, who's staying home? You're going to lose money anyway, right? And that's exactly what happens. Somebody's going to get sick. Somebody got to stay home. Then you guys going to argue about who's going to stay home. Why don't you just let him do his gig? Let him do his gig. My husband was like, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to work. My kids were really young. And he was absolutely right. When they were really young, I didn't need to go nowhere. I had enough work there. Who was going to watch all them kids? 4 children. And at one point I did try to do it, but we did do it flip-flopped. He was military, so in the morning when he didn't have a field problem, and this was just standard times, he would do his thing all day, and then I'd be at work about 7 o'clock sometimes, and then his job took precedence. When my kids were real little, I mean, if they decided they wanted to keep him there till 10 o'clock that night, he was going to be there, and I was not going to be able to go to work. So finally, I gave up, and I said, okay, I'll be at the house permanently, and I loved it. Those are the best times of my life with my children and my husband, because I understood the placement of things. And it's really not a bad thing when you just look at the number 18. Just look at the number 18, sis, and be there with your husband, be there with your kids. If you are a young mother, take care of your husband. Ask the Father how. Ask the Paraclete, the teacher, Ruach HaKodesh. Ask the Holy Spirit how. And he will show you. If you don't have any good women in your life that know how to take care of a husband, and they've run all the men that are in their lives away, pray. Ask the Father to teach you and show you. I guarantee you'll be glad that you did. You will be. Because that's why we need you. That's why we need you to stay in the place that you're supposed to be. Don't look at what he's doing, what he's not doing. I'm going to tell you right now, it's easier for you to allow the Father to speak to him than it is for you to gripe at him. He's not going to listen to you. He's going to shut off. Anything that he needs to do, especially if he's a man who's a praying guy, and if he's not, he's just a real quiet person, then you pray for him. You stand in the gap for him. Okay. We can't go back and undo what's done. Meaning if you were both out in the world and you got married and now you're saved, not well, the saved term, but you know what I'm saying. Now you understand the true, things that the Father wants you to do, or vice versa. Like this poor guy. What I pray for him today is that he would find the right type of wife that he wants, the right type of wife that God wants him to have. Because he's a good cat and he doesn't need to be, torn apart anymore. I think it's enough is enough. Okay, Tesla's 369 adds up to 18. So it's not that long. Mom, it's not that long. You got that baby on your breast right now, on your lap right now. Stay there. Who else is going to know what happens to him or her? Nobody. You take that baby someplace else and something happens, you don't know what's going on when you're not there. But you will if it's just you taking care of your baby and loving your family and loving your husband. As a mother, I know that it's difficult, but I will encourage you to build your family up, build your household up. Because if you don't do it, and men, we'll let Ronnie talk to you guys. Okay? But honestly, it's so much easier for us to just give up and throw in the towel and then try to move on and pretty ourselves up for the next guy when you could have just prettied yourself up for the one you got. Because if you've been with your husband 10, 15 years, then you're going to be out trying to date again, try to meet somebody else again, try to know somebody all over again. Eesh, yikes. Eek, gads. So diminishing the family starts at home. Remember where it started with the Black family. Remember what they're doing now. They are victimizing our poor white brothers. And we see what's going on in the Black community. My goodness. Every rapper got a story laced in pink or something. Every one of them. I've seen it myself. It's quite creepy. So let's not be of this world. Okay, you guys? Let's not be of this world. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. We're coming up on the 1 hour, 30-minute mark at 12747. And that's where we are right now. An hour, 27 minutes, almost 28 minutes in. Time does go by when you are with your co-laborers in the faith, and all of them have exceptionally good things to say. I thank each and every one of you guys for tuning in tonight. We also shared the platform with TPL Entertainment, which is the Lockhart Perspective Entertainment. And it's being simulcast. So it's here on this channel, and it's also over there on that channel. And I just thank you guys for being here tonight. I don't think we have anything else to say, but I just said, hey, we just need to have that as something that we'll talk about tonight because it's really important. And in the white community, the boys are wearing ankle socks. Wow. Wow. Go with faith. Ankle socks. Wow. Upside down world. Mama, wife, get in position, sis. It's a powerful position, and it's a very powerful gift that was given to us to be able to have life in our womb, to be able to take care of our husbands, to be able to love them in spite of who or what they do, to be able to understand that our position isn't to fix them. It isn't to make them like us. Our position is simply to love them and to make sure that we are committed to our Father in heaven. Because if we make sure that when we think about the things that we're doing, and we understand that it's our responsibility to be in that place, then our husbands won't have to go out and listen to other people or talk to other people. And even though they do, you can trust and believe. You can trust and believe. If you that one that can't nobody beat rocking in your chair, he ain't going nowhere. Pray for your husband. Love him. Get that ring around the collar out his shirt. Get you a bottle of whisk and learn how to take care of those collars yourself. Get you a nice iron and get you some Argo and Go ahead and iron the shirts. What I'm trying to say is find something to do that's constructive, that builds your home up. Be a little more quiet and be a lot more prayerful. Make sure you make yourself put a little lipstick on every now and again. Smile and wink at him. Tell him what an awesome guy he is. Build him up so that another woman doesn't come back behind you and do it. The clean up woman is real. It's been great chatting with each and every one of you guys tonight. Y'all take care. And remember what we say here on the show. That man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High God. You guys take care. Have a good night. Take care of each other. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.